But here is the one story about the family whose child died and how he's involved in this. Now, I've also heard stories from some viewers when I talked about doing this video, this live stream, and they said that they also knew people who have passed because they were trying to follow these protocols and didn't seek medical treatment. So, and obviously I don't know the details of these stories, but I would imagine that there's possibly more people out there that took an alternative route when facing serious illnesses like medical medium or like these other influencers who talk about health things. And I wouldn't be surprised if someone didn't make it by drinking celery juice and not getting westernized medical attention. Anyways, okay, this is called How Goop's Favorite Medical Medium Uses Spirituality to Scam the Sick. Okay. In the spring of 2013, Kate Gallagher Long called Anthony William. She was desperate for help. 48 days later, her son Gavin was dead. Prior to what would be their first and last phone call, Leong had opened up on her parenting blog about Gavin and his seemingly incurable illness. Gavin suffered from hearing and respiratory issues, in addition to other mysterious symptoms. Despite taking him to specialists, Leong's search for a diagnosis turned up fruitless. When she got an email from a blog reader suggesting she reach out to a man named Anthony William, she didn't hesitate. When you're a mom of a special needs child, especially with a mystery like Gavin was, I would have done anything. Okay, again, got the same line that goes through all of these cases, which seems to be desperation. A cursory search on YouTube gives us our only glimpse into William in his element, in a place where he can address the internet at large. With his brunette ponytail and small frame glasses, it's clear that he's not a face from Hollywood. Burned him. Burn. Or a persona painstakingly crafted in a PR meeting. I mean, I agree with that. His delivery is raw, yet relatable. Hold on. Relatable.
I want to be relatable.
With a voice that vibrates like that of a mega church pastor, but only a bit, just enough. William, who markets himself as the medical medium, has written 3 books about natural healing and garnered a celebrity clientele. Robert De Niro, James Van Der Beek of Dawson's Creek fame, Naomi Campbell, and Goop founder Gwyneth Paltrow all offer glowing testimonials of William's God-given skills, despite the fact he doesn't seem to have a public record of a medical degree. I mean, he's admitted to that. Instead, he maintains that his expertise was granted to him by a spirit when he was only 4 years old, and that his connection with the entity allows him to cure others of various illnesses from irritable bowel to thyroid cancer. Anthony's unprecedented accuracy and success rate as the medical medium have earned him the trust and love of thousands worldwide, among them movie stars, rock stars, billionaires, professional athletes, best-selling authors, and countless other people from all walks of life who couldn't find a way to heal until he provided them with insights from spirit, he boasts on his website. But when William spoke to Long for an hour, $300 phone consultation, okay, so it's even more than I remember, $300, William didn't heal her son at all. He didn't diagnose Gavin as he claimed he could, which is what Leon was expecting, and instead told Long she had passed on the Epstein-Barr virus to her son in utero. Okay, once again, that is his answer for everything. That's what Spirit always says. It's always Epstein-Barr virus. Reading off a list she wrote based on their phone call in 2013, Long tells Inverse William suggested a benign vitamin regimen, including liquid B12 and zinc for Gavin, and a kind of charcoal detoxifier for Long, a prescription of sorts for the mother given without explanation. So the child needs to get B12 and zinc, and a charcoal detoxifier for her. Okay. When Gavin died from a febrile seizure 48 days after her consultation with William, Long felt responsible for her son's death. After all, William told her she had passed along EBV to her son Gavin, which was supposedly the source of all his illness. According to Long, he died undiagnosed. Doctors didn't know what happened. Quote, all I could think was, oh my God, I did this to him, she says. This was me. What a fucking piece of shit. right? Fuck you, celery man. Though he published his first book, Medical Medium, back in 2015, William claims to have used his gift throughout most of his life, healing family, friends, and more. He's not the first person to claim a connection to the divine. The annals of history are full of people who've called themselves psychic healers, perhaps most notably Edgar Cayce, aka the father of holistic medicine. I gotta look into him more. I put him on the list. But unlike Cayce and others, William markets himself with a modern, exclusive flair. In addition to allegedly charging $500 for a half-hour telephone reading, several sources confirm the dollar amount with Inverse, along with customer reviewers on Amazon. So $500 for a half-hour telephone reading, it's a pretty freaking good deal for him. $1,000 an hour? Can't get that without a pyramid scheme, usually. He's a trusted expert for Goop, where he's dispensed some seriously dubious advice over the course of several blog posts. We can't confirm how much William is currently charging for consultations like the one he gave Long, because the information isn't available on his website. In a recent Goop article about thyroid cancer, which is of course where you should get your information about thyroid cancer, is on Goop. Lord. Okay, William claims that real malignant cancer is a modern phenomenon that started after the Industrial Revolution, and that is extremely common Epstein-Barr virus is the source of almost all cancers. Though his historical assertion is patently untrue, ancient Egyptians described cancer on papyri dating back thousands of years. William's medical advice is even more unnervingly false. Quote, 98% of the time, cancer is caused by a virus and at least one type of toxin, William writes in that column, not elaborating on what qualifies as a toxin. Quote, there are many viruses that can be involved with cancer. The Epstein-Barr virus is one of them. EBV is also responsible for breast cancer, liver cancer, almost all lung cancer, almost all. Not my grandma's, but everyone else's. Okay. Pancreatic cancer, colon cancer, prostate cancer, women's reproductive cancers, leukemia, and many more. Also, just something to note, I think, based on his book and what things he points out, which is menopause, Lyme disease, certain hormonal conditions, he is targeting women. Not to say men don't follow him too, but I really think he's targeting women with chronic illnesses. That is his target audience, just based on how he speaks and the types of ailments he tends to choose. I just have a feeling that that's what he's going for. Now that's my own thoughts, but okay, so that's a quote from him. Since its founding in 2008, Goop has garnered an enormous amount of attention and $25 million in funding for promoting some seriously problematic health advice, much of which has been rebuked by the medical community. Over the last few years alone, it's promoted vaginal steaming, vaginal jade eggs, and $120 biofrequency healing stickers. Let's look at that for a second. NASA, the article is NASA calls bullshit on Goop's $120 biofrequency healing stickers. I guess they don't have a picture of them. Where did it go? Okay. Which the company erroneously claimed were made from NASA spacesuit material. Okay. A screenshot from Goop's website, which refers to William as a trusted Goop expert. So although it's not off-brand for Goop to repeatedly host the medical medium on their website, it's unnerving considering the brand's growing influence. Despite its many critics, Goop had a terrific autumn traffic-wise, skyrocketing from 1.4 million visitors in September 2017 to more than 2 million in December, according to analytics site SimilarWeb. In September, the lifestyle company launched its quarterly magazine in partnership with Condé Nast, which also publishes Vogue, The New Yorker, and GQ. There's no shortage of coverage around some of Goop's controversial suggestions, like the body stickers or yoni eggs, but Williams seems to have been overlooked. There's almost no media skepticism surrounding his work, even though he flatly denies on Goop that genetics have anything to do with disease, which in this case is cancer. Quote, while of course facial features and vocal cords are genetic, disease isn't, he declares with no evidence. Dr. Jennifer Guntner, Gunter, a San Francisco-based OBGYN who's criticized Goop in the past, tells Inverse that promoting William on the site is unethical for multiple reasons. Apart from the wasted money on a book, I think that his advice could lead people to believe that they don't need to think about genetics for their thyroid cancer, Gunter says. This just makes doctors' jobs harder. Yeah, I agree. Of Goop as an enterprise, Gunter offered this statement to Inverse. Promoting the medical medium is no different than promoting anti-vaccine views or cleanses or coffee enemas. The minimum is that people waste money, but there is great potential for harm with many of the therapies that are recommended and delays in diagnoses. Every day, someone tweets to me or messages me on Facebook about a friend or family member who delayed real therapy that could help them to give snake oil a go. How anyone can publish that drivel and think, I have done a good thing today is beyond me. I agree. While EBV is incredibly common, according to the Centers for Disease Control, there's essentially no peer-reviewed evidence to confidently state it causes cancer, as William does. According to the American Cancer Society, at most, it could be linked to Hodgkin's lymphoma and in some cases of stomach cancer. This is ambiguous territory, even for oncologists, never mind medical mediums, since EBV spreads primarily via saliva, not in utero. EBV-related cancers are more common in Africa and parts of Southeast Asia, the ACS writes on its website. Overall, very few people who have been infected with EBV will ever develop these cancers. It seems even Goop is aware of the potential backlash associated with William, who seems to tell the majority of his fans that they're ill because they have some form of the EBV. Each of William's articles on Goop includes a footnote with an extensive disclaimer about the site's intentions to merely induce conversation, thereby attempting to wash its hands of any actions taken by people who follow the advice as William instructs. So it says, they are the views of the author and do not necessarily represent the views of Goop and are for informational purposes only, even if and to the extent that this article features the advice of physicians and medical practitioners. This article is not, nor is it intended to be, a substitute for professional medical advice. Diagnosis or treatment should never be relied upon for specific medical advice. But that doesn't stop Goop from having William back on its site again and again, dishing out even more unsubstantiated advice. Over the last few months, Goop has not responded to Inverse's repeated requests for comment on William, instead offering us information readily available on its website. Okay, we can skip over that part. Okay. Apples teach us not to get burned by the frost of insensitivity from others. Anthony William on Goop. Okay. Much like the spirit with which he claims to communicate, William appears to be a ghost, at least according to Google. Publicly available documents obtained by Inverse show William's business registered in Naples, Florida, and that he's 47 years old. Okay, according to online white page directories. That's the first time I've seen that. 47 years old. For someone so ostensibly renowned and well-connected, 3 million fans on Facebook, there's almost no information about him online, not even a Wikipedia page. There's no shortage of Amazon links to his books, however, and those are overwhelmingly full of glowing reviews. Let's go over that. While it's clear that many people feel helped by William, what's surprising and on some level troubling is that his social media pages have zero questions of him or his books, despite these astounding superlative claims he's made about his own book. Now, I'm sure I bet they delete comments, honestly, that say, like, what is this crap? And they go, delete. No problems. That's gone now. This book is unlike anything you've read. You won't find citation after citation, references to study after study, because this is fresh, ahead of its time information that comes from the heavens. And this book unveils many of Spirit's most precious medical secrets. It's the answer for anyone who's suffering from a chronic condition or a mystery illness that doctors haven't been able to resolve. Okay. And most unnervingly the secrets this book contains will eventually be recognized by the scientific community. Yeah, I'm sure. Brand management is a common strategy to protect a public figure's image, but Williams seems to tightly police his image, even by 2017 standards. He's disabled comments on all of his YouTube videos and appears to personally manage his Facebook page, which is exclusively filled with effusive comments. The only place that holds any kind of criticism or information about Williams' practice is in the Amazon comments section, specifically the 1-star reviews. Here's the quote. I paid $500 to have a reading with Anthony, one Amazon customer posted on September 12, 2016. I felt completely scammed and naive for thinking someone would be able to properly diagnose me in 30 minutes over the phone. I was told he would be able to tell you what you have right away. And for the first half of the session, he kept asking me questions about all my symptoms. He tells everyone they have EBV, including myself. According to Long and several Amazon reviewers, Williams' carefully curated social media presence is no accident. Yeah, no shit. There might be something more insidious behind all those 5-star reviews on the e-commerce site. Okay, here's one possible explanation that I thought was interesting about the reviews, because I also wonder that too. Like, how does he have so many good reviews? Here's their possible answer, at least back in the day. Quote, I started doing some researching and I found out that when one of Anthony's books came out, there was a lottery by the publisher. And guess who the publisher is? Hay House. Do you remember who Hay House was started by? Louise Hay, the person who said, all of your ailments, HIV is caused because gay people are too vain and they only care about looks. That's why, they've gotten HIV and AIDS. That makes them ugly. She also says that if you stub your toe, it's because, you're angry at somebody. If you have cancer, she cured her own cancer by, believing in positive vibes, another problematic woman, to say the least. That's the publishing house that she started, which is now the publisher of his book. So makes sense. Okay. So there was a lottery, allegedly, by Hay House, that whoever wrote the most inspiring Amazon review would win a reading or something with him. The book in question appears to be Williams' aptly titled Medical Medium, published in 2015. That's one I have. Inverse obtained what appears to be a copy of that call out originally on Williams' website, later pasted to Phoenix Rising, a forum for people suffering from myalgic encephalomyelitis and chronic fatigue syndrome. And the page says, enter for a chance to win the grand prize $3,000 package. Also, we're going to review each and every Amazon review that's submitted, and the most inspirational review will win a $3,000 grand prize package with me. It includes 2 phone consultations with me, skip the line, book right away, 4 VIP tickets to the Medical Medium live event in February, 6 autographed copies of Medical Medium for you and your family. So leave your Amazon review today and enter for a chance to win. Enter before November 20th to qualify. Click below and it goes to themedicalmedium.com/Amazon. Thank you for your continued support. P.S. If you didn't purchase through Amazon, that's okay. You can still leave a review. If you've already left your review, skip to step 2. In November, Inverse reached out to Hay House, Williams' publisher, which also publishes books written by other mediums and self-proclaimed healers. When we asked about Williams' contest that he and Hay House seemed to have created in order to garner positive reviews of his 2015 book, we received the following ambiguous response via email, which just basically says, thanks for following up, and here's some links to all his stuff. About 2 years after Williams published Medical Medium, he came out with his 3rd book, Thyroid Healing. As of January 2018, it's already an Amazon bestseller with 730 reviews on the site. 95% of them are 5-star reviews. It's unclear what role Amazon plays in all of this or how much it can actually tell about who is being incentivized to write glowing reviews. While it's common for publishers to give out free copies of books to fans to review, it appears that the monetary incentives allegedly used by William and Hay House fall into a different category. When Inverse asked Amazon about the accusations of positive book reviews for compensation, a spokesperson confirmed the e-commerce site would be investigating the claims. And they say, okay, we do our guidelines, blah, blah, blah. They reached out to Hay House and they didn't get tracked. It didn't go any further. Okay. Though William postures himself as a healer, a protector of the average person duped by doctors and big pharma, his practices suggest something darker. Debbie Brazil, owner of a rehab facility for geriatric patients in Lake County, Florida, tells Inverse that 7 or 8 months ago, her 72-year-old mother, Lorraine, contacted William. Since then, he's put her on a strict diet that Brazil says has caused her mother, who is 5'11", to drop from 120 pounds to 93 pounds. Quote, she wasn't sick before she called him, claims Brazil, who originally told her story on an anti-medical medium Facebook page. But after their phone call, she decided she has fibromyalgia. He also told her she has the Epstein-Barr virus. Once again, shocking. Doctors confirmed that Lorraine does not have fibromyalgia, Brazil adds. Brazil says her mother paid $500 for a half-an-hour phone call and even more for William's books. She also says her mother has a refrigerator full of supplements. She adds that she doesn't know how much her mother has been spending on follow-up calls. He's milking her out of lots of money, she says. I'm sure he's making all his money from folks like my mother who are on limited income who can't afford to pay him all of this. She's spending money that she really needs to live. Despite dropping dramatically in rate, Brazil says her mother is now skeptical about traditional medicine. Despite dropping dramatically in weight, Brazil says her mother is now skeptical about traditional medicine. Brazil says that her mother won't eat dairy, carbs, or any kinds of sugar because William supposedly told her it'll make her sick with an illness she never had. He has her completely brainwashed. And then then she posted, the daughter, we need to get the word out to more people. He's endangering lives. Inverse has emailed and called William multiple times over the last few months, asking for comment on so many of the claims brought against him. As of this writing, he has not responded. Well, he has no reason to, because, people believe nonsense. So why would he even defend himself? It's like the people who are already skeptical are never going to, be swayed. If you're not skeptical, you can be sold. If you're already skeptical, there's no way you can be convinced that a spirit is talking into your ear and telling you have Epstein-Barr virus. As of this writing, he has not responded. The Better Business Bureau of West Florida tells Inverse there's no record of complaints against Anthony William Inc., but that it would be conducting an investigation. Perhaps William carefully curates the criticism around him because on some level, he doesn't even believe his own gimmick. Yeah, I agree. I don't think he truly believes it, because why would you hide your past so deeply and any information about you? I just find it to be a tactic. His website features a lengthy disclaimer clearing him of any legal responsibility for his advice. Anthony William, doing business as Anthony William Medical Medium, is not a licensed medical doctor, chiropractor, osteopathic physician, naturopathic doctor, nutritionist, pharmacist, psychologist, psychotherapist, or other formally licensed healthcare professional, practitioner, or provider of any kind. Anthony William Medical Medium does not render medical, psychological, or other professional advice or treatment, nor does it provide or prescribe any medical diagnosis, treatment, medication, or remedy. So what does he render exactly? None of it really makes sense, Long says. It's all just a big smokescreen. Yeah, there you go. And this page, at least, is no longer there. Chasing Rainbows. Oh, this is the woman with her son. Anyways, that was depressing. It's just sad because, like I said, it is a personal decision because the government's not going to do anything. Apparently, they're not going to step in. They want, you to have free choice. We live in a system where healthcare is not a human right. It's a privilege that we earn through working or being married to someone who is working. And I think that's wrong. I think humans should be able to, look at me. Should be able to live and not be penalized for contracting illnesses. I think it's ridiculous that, as a modern society, we aren't there yet. And I think because of that, people, and I've said this before, like going to the doctor sounds like a great idea. And I think that is the solution, and saying, consult with a physician before you start any diet or exercise, of course. But when you don't have health insurance, like I don't, going to a doctor is a scary adventure, to say it in a nice way. And if you go to one and you cough up the money to be able to afford it, going to another one to get a second opinion or going to a specialist is very, very, very expensive. And you don't have, especially, and this is not my case, but when I was younger, working a 9-to-5 job or even an overnight job or jobs with, hours where you can't just leave, taking the time off from work to go get medical advice is not easy either. And it's expensive. So it's much easier to go, you know what? I'm going to figure out the solution by myself. I'm going to spend $500 with this guy who's going to promise me that he knows what's wrong with me and heal me, compared to a doctor that's going to have to send away for tests that cost money. That's going to have to refer me to someone else. And at the end of it, may not have a concrete answer. So I understand where people are coming from. And it's really a shame that this is a person who can thrive in this environment, someone who doesn't probably have a whole lot going on besides making money. It looks like, at least, like he doesn't have, a bustling social life or, close family members. And maybe he does, and they're secretive. And the other side of it is like, well, he's providing answers and hope. And hope, like that woman said in the interview, hope is a drug. Hope is a cure. And, part of me goes, that's really sad and something that you shouldn't do. But at the same time, it's like, who am I to say that to somebody? If you want to spend money on going to a psychic or going to a medium, I think it's complete garbage and bullshit and not real, personally. But I'm not you, so it's your own personal choice to do whatever you want. I find it hard to be around people who believe in that type of stuff, because it's sad to watch, in my opinion, like to see someone give their hard-earned money away to someone who is a known liar, like she just is obviously lying. And then my third pissed off section is at the media. All of the people, podcasters, Goop, Extra TV, Hallmark, all those, companies of people where hundreds of people work, throughout all of those organizations. Someone not saying, we should not have this person on. They are not qualified in any way to give medical advice at all. No matter how many, disclaimers that we put on our website to say like, legally, we're not held responsible, but we want people to have, freedom of ideas. I get that, but let him have his blog. Why are you giving credibility to somebody like this? What is the point of going to medical school? If we don't value medicine at all anymore, let's make it free. If we don't think going to a doctor is worth anything anymore, then why don't we fight for, universal health care? And then the people that don't want to go don't have to go in the first place. But like, let the rest of us have it, be cheaper. I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I know why it pisses me off. It pisses me off because I really hate to see people thrive when they're, in my opinion, doing something wrong. And I think lying inherently is wrong, especially lying for money, and lying when someone could die based on what you're saying. I think that's, even more horrendous. Like manifestation coaches and life coaches, and I think they're bad enough. Honestly, they're bad too. But when you're diagnosing people who have chronic illness, like that's lower than low of someone to stoop to make money. But then again, here we are, this is allowed. If you do not restrict, or on the alternative side, and it's like, lately I've been thinking restriction is one thing. Telling someone no doesn't often work. Telling someone, stop doing that. Don't do that anymore. Don't listen to that person. Don't follow that doctrine. It doesn't work very often. And I find myself banging my head against the wall with people that, fight me on everything and say, well, I believe it, or it worked for me, or, you don't know anything. Okay, fine. But my second thing is we need to get more good information out there to the same people, that people who do have an education are more available in these mass ways. Like the person that's seeing patients every day probably doesn't have time to write drivel like this about, they're fixing cars when they were 15. I don't know how it's done, but I think access to better information from actual experts for cheaper, having more access and having it be more affordable in a healthcare setting. Again, I don't know how to do these things, but I think more access to better things is the solution here, because restricting people doesn't work. It's just not. I mean, people who are desperate are going to be desperate, are going to do anything. I had a friend who, he came, we both worked in the news industry, and he took over my job when I left, and I trained him to do the job when I was in TV. And within like 3 or 4 months of him taking the job, he was diagnosed with cancer. And he was my age. He was younger. Like, I think he was 26 when he was diagnosed, I believe. And within a year, he was, in the hospital essentially, and they did chemo, didn't work. I don't think they ever did radiation, but it wasn't working, and they basically told him there was nothing we can do. So his mom sent him to Mexico to one of these treatment facilities, and I see treatment facility very lightly. It's one of these, alternative, eat some fresh vegetables type places and do some meditation, and we'll do these alternative therapies. And he tried, and it makes me sad because he missed, it makes me really sad because he missed an opportunity to be with his family at the end. But they had hope that someone had told them, like, oh, we had good results and you should send your child there. And they spent like a lot of money sending him there. And he ended up leaving to come back because he felt so horrible while he was there. He wasn't getting better. And he died like very shortly after that. And it just makes me sad because this is, and I'm still mean to like get emotional, but these are people's lives, and this stuff like is serious, and it's not serious until it happens to you. And you just want, I don't know what the solution would have been. Like, I think he would have died either way, but it's just taking these chances. It might seem like the right thing at the moment. Like, what do you have to lose? Like, that's what it sort of seems like. What that lady said, like, what do I have to lose? But when it's a person who really does have time to lose, or money, or any of these things, when the stakes are much higher, it's like, that's when this information is dangerous. And it might seem like nothing to someone, just like, oh, I have acne, like, why not drink some celery juice? It's like, yeah, but that's not everyone's experience. And again, I don't know what the solution is. There's nothing you and I can do as people necessarily to fix this problem. But it's just something that I think about a lot. And I think because someone like that can sleep at night and give people $500 consultations on the phone, allegedly, and say, yeah, you have this, and just take some celery and they can go to sleep at night. I just don't know how you do that. I don't know. Excuse me. I just think the guy's a narcissist. He wants to be the most special. He thinks he's close to God. Whether he believes that or not, I don't know. It seems to work for him. Good for you. Fuck you. That's all I have to say about medical medium. Anyways, so that's a little bit of it. Like, I obviously know that's like a pretty serious step for me to take. And that's personal story. It just bothers me because the guy was such a good person. And I don't think anything was the silver bullet that could have saved him. Same as Dan. Could have saved Dan. And, I don't think in that case there was any hope for him. He had such a severe case. He was so young. It was just an anomaly. It just happened. I don't know. No one knows why he had it specifically. But to be given false hope like that, I don't know. And then I don't know. It just bothers me. He was such a good person. And I think like that's the hardest pill to swallow in all of this, is that good things happen to bad people and bad things happen to good people. And I don't understand it. And there's nothing to understand, in my opinion, from my perspective, as someone who's not spiritual, who's not religious, who believes in, people, essentially. I believe that we have a chance here to do good things for each other. That's it, essentially is what I believe. It makes me mad when I see someone take advantage of that. relationship. Like, we're all here. Let's all try to help each other. And that doesn't happen. That does not happen. So anyways, on that very sad note, and it's not, that's not even my story to tell necessarily about, he's a coworker and a friend, and it's not about me, but I think that specific case just like is what I always think about when I think about anything medical. Like, that guy in any of these, like in the scenario that he was faced with at like 26 years old, facing terminal illness, the lengths that he went to try to get better. It sucks. It sucks. And I'm ashamed that this dude, medical medium, would profit from him if he was still alive, potentially. It's just sickening to me. But I'm also working, talk about myself again. I'm also working to try to move forward and let these things go, because for a little bit I was starting to get really, really, really upset all the time, and like, something needs to change, and I can't do it alone. And I'm one person, you guys are all one people. Like, we don't have billions of dollars of influence, so it's just, we need to live the best life we can live and try to find the balance of being aware, making good choices, trying to tell people what you think honestly about these things, and then move on and not hold on to like, you didn't listen to me. Like, how dare you just like give this guy money when I just told you all this information? It's only going to make your life worse. And this is more of a lesson for myself. It's fine. This is all fine. What can you do? Throw your hands up in the air and say, welcome to the USA.